Look, a red flag doesn't mean shit. It's a flag. There's all sorts of different colors of flags. There's red flags, there's green flags, there's white flags, there's blue flags, there's red, white, and blue flags. There's the gay one that nobody likes.
Give me money, give me money, give me money, give me money, give me money.
Shield time! If you look in the description, there is a link to a Patreon page. Now, if you find my content to be some level of entertaining and you want to support it, I would ask that you check that out, throw a couple bucks my way. If you do, I'll be putting your names at the end of the videos once I start getting patrons. If you look down there, you will also see a link to a Discord server. You can go ahead and join that if you want. You can hang out, or you can just call me an idiot. I really don't care. In fact, if you subscribe to the Patreon, you get access to a couple extra channels in the Discord, and that's a little 2-for-1 deal there. And finally, there is a link to a Rumble page. You see, I edit these videos to better fit YouTube's content policies. So if you want to see the versions that have all the spicy stuff in it, go ahead and check the Rumble page out. On with the video!
Alright, we're back! It's been a hot minute, hasn't it? I had some medical issues there. So anyways, today we're going to be talking about pattern recognition, red flags, and issues starting to crop up from these things. Now, I think it's safe to say everybody here knows what the past 10 years have been like. Pretty much all forms of media, entertainment, culture, all of that stuff has been heavily influenced by woke ideology, and it's starting to die out now. It's starting to finally croak, thank God. But unfortunately, the problem with such a an ideology that took hold for about a decade like that is it has programmed some things into people. And I want to talk a bit about that because we're getting to this point in the quote-unquote culture war and in society as a whole. We're in that transitioning phase where, okay, far-left woke ideology is falling out of favor, it's losing power, and now we're starting to see more centrist to right-leaning ideology start to take hold again. Hopefully more centrist, in my personal opinion. But from this, you will start seeing a right-wing equivalent to the SJWs and the woke ideological. So I might be talking a little bit about that, but I mainly am going to be focusing on, like I said, things like pattern recognition, because that's where I think the problem will start. What do I mean? What do I mean by pattern recognition? What do I mean when I'm saying red flags and stuff like that? Well, thanks to the past 10 years, we have been programmed to see certain things and immediately compare it to something else. I think the best example I can use is some of the trailers for Doom the Dark Ages, which I am personally very hyped for. I'm a huge fan of the Doom games. And in the trailers, they showed the one woman has a bit more of a broad jawline. And people immediately started screaming, "Oh, it's woke! This game's gonna be woke! Up, Doom went woke, blah, blah, blah." Or because, when, I think in...
Alright, you're going to have to work fast.
Either that same trailer or a different announcement trailer, they were talking about how they had changed how difficulty works to being like different sliders that'll affect, projectile speed or enemy speeds or things like that. And they said a Doom for all slayers. And everybody's like, "Oh, it's woke! It's a woke game! See, it's a game for everyone! They said it!" And for anybody that has 2 brain cells left to rub together like pickle chips, if you started thinking about it for a second, you'd realize that's kind of stupid, because that's not what they said. Okay, if we're going to call Doom's woke because it has a difficulty slider, every game's got difficulty settings. They're just taking a different approach to it. They want to try and innovate it and make it different so you can customize the gameplay to what you personally like. I see no issues with that. As for the jawline thing, look, I'm gonna be honest, that my mom has the same fucking jawline. You're gonna have a hell of a hard time telling me that it's woke, that it's trying to push trans or whatever the fuck they're trying to say, when that's just my mom's jawline. I get it, not a factual argument, but again, you're gonna have trouble telling me, oh, see, they're going woke. They're trying to purposely uglify the femoids and so that the trannies can like. And it's like, again, you're gonna have a really hard time pushing that when that's my mom's jawline. Or another example, Helldivers. Yes, we're gonna bring this one up again. People say, oh, well, there's 2 black women on the Super Destroyer in Helldivers. The game is woke. Oh, they show a mixed-race family. The game is woke. Without even taking into consideration any lore or context or anything. If your argument is there's a black person or there's a white dude married to a black dude, it's woke. You don't have an argument. I'm sorry, you just don't. Or even to use something that you could actually have a legitimate argument for being woke. The new Oblivion game. Like the Oblivion Remastered. They removed the male and female slider with a body type A, body type B. Now, I get why they do that. Yes, that is arguably woke. They're doing it because the tranny thing.
Structure upgraded. All systems check.
Is that really a battle worth fighting right now? Is my question to that. Is like, there's much bigger fish to fry. There is much more impactful things than just that. And that's kind of a side tangent. But my point is, people have been programmed to see one thing and automatically assume another. Because for the past 10 years... that's what it's meant. You see this thing, it means that thing. Oh, hi, Kitty. Kitty's coming to say hello. Say hello. And so, yeah, like I said, people have been programmed to see these things this way. People have been programmed to look at these things a specific way. And the issue with that is this form of pattern recognition has started to overtake, excuse me, it has started to overtake, I forgot the word, great, critical thinking.
Unit ready.
Excuse me. Yeah, no, so this form of pattern recognition and, oh, that's a red flag, it started to overtake critical thinking. And so we're starting to see people go off on the tiniest bullshit when it isn't even warranted, and because they're not thinking about it for 2 seconds. It's an emotional reaction. And the thing about your emotions is they will completely misguide you every which way possible. Your emotions are not logical. Your emotions are not good at predicting things, basically. Not predicting, but, determining things. Okay, the reason humans have emotion is so that we can empathize and sympathize and interact with each other. You have emotions so that you can tell if something is causing issue for you, and also so you can understand if something is causing issue for somebody else. You do not have emotions to dictate your behavior and to dictate how you interpret something.
Go ahead, Command.
And I know there will be people who sit there and tell me, oh, but you're expecting too much of these people. Well, you're expecting them to be too smart or anything. Being an idiot, being an emotionally driven idiot is not an excuse for being an emotionally driven idiot. It is the problem that you are being an emotionally driven idiot. And I'm sorry, that's what that sort of thinking is. Any form of thinking that actively removes critical thinking in favor of emotional thinking is idiotic and destructive, because your emotions are selfish and self-driven, and that will lead you to pure destruction. You need to be able to remove your emotions, to remove what might even be your personal opinions and look at things objectively and logically. You need to be able to think critically.
Unit is under attack.
And so, the issue I'm seeing here is we've gone through 10 years of one form of emotionally driven thinking, and it is actively programmed an opposing... It is actively programmed an opposing, yet equally destructive form of emotional-based thinking. Pattern recognition is a useful tool in the sense of I am seeing a pattern, A normally means B, but that becomes a problem when it is your core form of thinking and you're taking it out of context. Pattern recognition with context is a useful tool. The context of it over these past 10 years is that point A is point because of okay. Ugly woman in video games. Ugly women in video games, the pattern there was because game publishers were trying to push the agenda more comfortable ideology. But that has been taken out of its context to the extreme of if this woman does not look like a borderline porn star, it is woke. Because that's really what it's boiled down to, that specifically. But we'll harp a little bit on the Dune the Dark Ages one, because it's kind of the stupidest one. But like, for example, with that was the context that has been removed. These games were specifically doing it to push an ideology. They were making them ugly on purpose. And the thing is, you look at the character in Dune the Dark Ages, they're not making her ugly on purpose. Personally, I wouldn't even call her ugly. Is she supposed to be the greatest looking gal in the world? No, because Doom isn't about that. Doom is about playing as a pissed off Marine killing demons. And Doom is very good at sticking to that theme. But look at what is being worshipped, essentially, in opposition. What are the things that are being held up and praised under the same logic? Games that have overly sexualized characters. Games that are being overly ecchi in their character design. Where the women are... Again, it is very hypersexualized. I know, I'm starting to sound like all the woke people who didn't like the hot chicks, or the Christians from the Satanic Panic who didn't like it. I'm going to tell you this right now with at least this regard. If it doesn't benefit the story or the game in any other way, I don't see why it's there. I mean, I get it. A little eye candy is fine. I'm not going to condemn a little eye candy, but when that's your main thing, when the majority of it is eye candy, that's when I start looking at, like, what? And that's what's kind of been happening in regards to that one specifically. People look at games like Stellar Blade, or these weird gacha games and shit. Hyper over-sexualized women that are specifically designed to be ecchi and cause arousal are being propped up and praised. And a character that is not even ugly, just isn't made to specifically be over-sexualized, is being called ugly, being called woke. And what is the argument? What is the pattern recognition here? They didn't hypersexualize it, therefore it must be woke. That's a problem. Or something like the difficulty slider again. Or actually, let me see if I can think of a better example. Let me see if I can think of a better example to use, so we're not just talking about Doom the Dark Ages this whole video. I guess we can use Helldiver again. Might as well. I'm using the most recent ones that I've dealt with personally, so bear with me. Kind of going to Nella did a video talking about this a little bit. Again, something like, you know, there are black women on the Super Destroyer, and therefore it must be woke.
Training, our base is under attack.
Pattern recognition here. Games would push minority characters because representation.
Therefore, any game that has a black character now must be woke.
Training.
Okay, my question is, does every character need to just be white guys now?
Training.
Is there a problem with it? Again, outside of the context, there is no context to these situations.
Unit ready.
And I'm sure if I did some digging, I'd be able to find more examples. I just tend to avoid things that
Unit
I'm not going to enjoy, and things that have shit like that in it I don't tend to enjoy, but I digress.
Enemy convoy approaching.
I know there was kind of a bit of concern when Dune Part 2 came out that it might be woke, because they had kind of showed off the one female character a bit more, but then again, what's the context? Which played an important role in the books. At least according to my dad, I haven't read the books, but my dad read the books. Just things like that. What's the context? And if these things are being pushed without the context,
Unit ready.
then you have to look at it like, is this an emotional response? If somebody is not thinking critically for a minute, but instead is jumping to, I saw this, therefore it must mean this, that's a problem. That's just as destructive as the woke ideology that is starting to die out. Okay, you can't just see thing A and assume thing B. What's the assumption? What's this? Sorry. What's this? Excuse me. What's the saying? I believe. I think it's like, assumption makes an ass out of you and me.
One down. The next convoy looks to be coming from the northeast.
Assumptions are a tool. Pattern recognition is a tool. Red flags are a tool. But tools can be misused. Just because you see something that might make you think one thing does not always mean that one thing. You need to think critically. You need to examine the situation. I will not use, oh, well, you're expecting too much of them. They're not smart enough. That's not normal. Yeah. That's not an excuse. That's a failure on the part of these people. And because this is becoming so common, I'm going to say this right now, I very strongly believe in holding my own side accountable. I'm right-leaning. I'm a right-leaning guy, but right now I find myself having a lot more criticism towards the right than the left, because we already know what the left's gonna do. We already know that's their whole thing, and they're losing power over it. But now I'm seeing the people that claimed to be fighting against it and claimed to want to bring things back to what we had. I'm seeing them start to fall to the same faulties. I'm seeing them start to fall to emotional reactions. I'm seeing them start to fall to not thinking critically and just emotional responses to these things and making fools of themselves in the process, and they are so hell-bent on that behavior that they think they're doing the right thing. You either die the hero or live long enough to become the villain. We're at that point. So, yeah. Basically, to put a conclusion on this video, I know this is far from my greatest video. I've been under the weather for the past week, and this is something I just wanted to talk about and just kind of ramble a bit about. So, I get it, not the great constructive video, but if I were to, basically my summary for this is that you gotta think critically, you got to examine the situation, you gotta be smart enough to do your homework and come to a logical, like I said, common sense conclusion. You gotta think critically, and if you are not thinking critically and you are just immediately jumping to an assumption because you saw one thing, you're becoming the problem, and I'd hope you have enough self-awareness to see that. I hope this video would open your eyes if you are that person. But I have a feeling most people are going to yell at me for this one. Kitty!
The kitty is come to say goodbye. Say goodbye.
Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed. I am going to again ask that you give the Patreon a look, and the Rumble a look, and the Discord server a look. If you want, you can join, hang out, or just call me a piece of shit. I really don't care. Do what you want. And if you subscribe to the Patreon, there's you get access to an extra channel, a couple extra actually. So it's about a little 2-for-1 deal. Anyways, thank you again for watching. Have a good day.